choose a career of an artist. Most parents don't like it, and that happened with me. But because at the end I showed them the good aspect of being an artist, they believed in me, and I've made a living out of it. Because my uncle would 100% kill me when he found me playing a guitar or going to rehearse. It was a big war. But finally I convinced him that I like what I'm doing and he's not going to stop me, and he didn't stop me. And it depends what you want to be. You can be a good musician, you can be a bad element of an artist, and I became a good artist and a good behavior. It didn't change my lifestyle. So if you want to be a good artist, follow in the footsteps, become a Christian, and love your God, and behave well. My wife used to say, show me your friends and I'll tell you what type of a person you are. And that's what is happening today. My children are aware that if they travel with wrong friends, they'll have bad behavior. But it's all in the hands of the Lord. He chooses for you which friends are the best. And maybe I always choose good friends.
Amen.
And my life is pure. That's why I'm going to live long life.
Samuel Mhangwani, interviews, take one.
You good?
Yeah, boy.
Okay. So let me start.
Okay. Rolling.
Greetings and welcome, everybody. My name is Dr. Ntombi Mhangwani. I have the absolute pleasure today of speaking to an esteemed, renowned, talented artist, Mr. Sam Mhangwani. By profession, he is a playwright, he is an actor, he's a music promoter, he's done so many things, and also, most important, he is a father, a man of God, and today he tells us his story. And what is special about today's edition is that Mr. Sam Mhangwani is actually my father. So it's an absolute honor for me to introduce and to tell the story of Mr. Sam Mhangwani and how he grew in South Africa, being the industry icon that he is. Stay tuned for more. Mr. Sam Mhangwani, you are by profession an actor, a playwright, a music promoter, a father, an entertainer, a friend, an uncle. You are many, many things to many audiences within South Africa. Why don't you tell us in your own words who you are and where it all began?
My name is Samuel Mhangwani, and I was born in 1943. And I'm born from a family of a father who had married 2 wives, 2 sisters, and I belonged to the second wife, who was the younger sister. And we happened to be, it was my elder brother Dan, Colin, me, my sister Emily, my other sister Makoloi, the last sister was Marjorie. And from my other brothers, from the elder wife, it was Sis Martha, Flora, John Mhangwani, Obed Mhangwani, and there were just 4 of them. So that is where I come from. But I was born in a place called Valmastad in Pretoria. That's where I was born.
Tell us what inspired you to pursue a career in the arts, and maybe start by telling us about the acting and the playwriting before we actually move into the musical side of your career.
You know how I started my acting career? When I was at school, we did a show called Julius Caesar, and I happened to have acted the part of Brutus. At that time, little did I know that I had the talent of being an actor. So I played the part of Brutus, And on that day when I played the part of Brutus, somehow I became a star of the day. And that's how I discovered my acting talent. And from there, I wrote a play called Crime Does Not Pay, in which I played the leading role of the criminal element character of the show. And in that play, we took part in a drama competition organized by the Union Artists that time in 1989. And we won the first prize and the second prize. And I also won the prize of being the best male actor. That's how I discovered my acting career and acting talent.
Were there any particular individuals or influences in the industry at that point in time that actually pushed you to pursue this career despite you having discovering your talent by mistake?
You know, that time when we grew up, there were actors like Ken Gampu, Simon Sabela Mabono, and about Joe Mafela. Those guys were prominent actors of our time. So now and then they would have, don't forget there was not much of the drama at that time. But now and then those guys would see them on the screen acting and all that. And those are the guys who inspired me to find myself saying, I want to be like them. And that's how the fire sparked off.
And do you believe you had a particular style or philosophy when you were writing your plays? And the way of acting, was there a style or a philosophy that was guiding you?
You know, you won't believe this. At that time, things like style, I would not have known what it meant. All I knew was that I saw myself as an actor, as this guy who would stand up and please people and all that. The question of style did not even come into my mind. But as I grew into the acting part, I discovered that I had to have this type of a style, a stand actor, a serious type of an actor who can be a comedian, an actor who can be soft, do other types of characteristics when it comes to acting. But when I started, I didn't know which characteristics I was going to enjoy.
So obviously when you started, it was from a school play, and then somehow you landed up at the Shakespearean School of the Arts in the UK. Just tell us a bit about that. How did you land up there? What did you do? What did you study? And how did you then grow following that experience?
Maybe I should take you back slightly. Before I was discovered to go overseas, what happened after completing my school studies? By the way, I went to Alexandra School High School, and my early education, I was educated at Beauvais Community School in Alexandra. And then I went to Alexandra High School. And thereafter, when I completed, I think it was JC that time, I started writing the play Crime Does Not Pay. And that play took off. And when the play Crime Does Not Pay took off, I also had the idea of the play Unfaithful Woman. So in 1964-63, I wrote the play Unfaithful Woman, which took off like wildfire. We started playing the play Unfaithful Woman, and I remember we opened it to the audience on the 7th of April in Randfontein. The first day we had an audience of 700 people, and you can imagine what it meant. We did not have knowledge of the drama. We did not even know the technical aspect of the drama. We had to learn whilst we were acting to say when the people make noise, you must be able to calm them down by making something. All those things we learned whilst we were acting. So in 1965, I produced the play Unfaithful Woman. From Unfaithful Woman, Then came this white man who came from overseas to come and see our play, and he was introduced by a lady called Bestowed. And Bestowed was one of the actresses of the time from the white people who was one of the best actresses. And that's why I named my other daughter Bess, because I was playing gratitude to her for having discovered me and also recommended me to this actor from Britain to say I must be sponsored to go and study theatre. That's how I got myself going overseas to study theatre, because Beth Finney recommended me, and I went to the British and applied to the British Council for me to get a sponsorship to go and study overseas. That's when the overseas trip started. That's where I started my big following my dreams.
So, in your plays, you mentioned crime doesn't play, mother-in-law, unfaithful woman, and everything. Was there a specific theme or message in all of your plays, or were they all different?
When you look at all the plays that I wrote, they have different themes altogether, because crime does not pay. I was talking about this character who thinks being a criminal pays him because he makes money and is intelligent and all that. But at the end I say, you can do it out as much as you can do it successfully and all that. But at the end it's got its own repercussions. But again, when I wrote the play Unfaithful Woman, and don't forget I was still very young when I wrote the play Unfaithful Woman. I had no knowledge of what a life of an unfaithful woman ends up being and all that. I think because it was a God-given talent, I could see this woman living this life, if she did not listen to her parents, where she will end up ending, and what will be the repercussions of living an unfaithful woman, because she gets married and she cheats on her wife, and at the end the wife discovers her, and that's how she loses her marriage. So all these plays had their different themes, and don't forget it was just an inspiration that came to me. That's how I saw the picture of this woman ending up at the end losing her marriage because she has met an unfaithful life.
Is there a specific play that you wrote that holds a special place in your heart? I know that there is talk about you having had one of the longest running plays in the history of South Africa. Talk to us about that.
The play that has a special feeling to me is the same play that you are mentioning, The Unfaithful Woman. This play it appealed to a lot of people. I don't know how people could identify their lives. People could identify the wrongs that when they were doing would lead to them losing their lives and being in trouble with their parents. So this particular play, The Unfaithful Woman, appealed to a lot of people. We would fill up hall after hall as we performed it. For the past 15 years, I think, we kept on going strong and strong and strong. And whenever you put up this show, people would come from all angles. And the other attractive part of the show was that it had an age restriction. So because of the age restriction, they said no children are allowed. And that also attracted people. But I know it's because it had this particular special scene whereby this woman is discovered in infertility state. So that was the selling point of ours, and that made us a big, we were very popular with the audience all over South Africa. Wherever we went, we attracted big crowds.
So Mr. Samuel Mhangwani, you mentioned crime does not pay, you mentioned unfaithful woman, you mentioned mother-in-law. Can you tell us, have you written any other plays other than these three?
Apart from these three, mother-in-law came in after I'd written The Unfaithful Woman and when I came back from overseas. And the other play that followed was entitled Tembi. That time when I wrote Tembi, it was a play about sex education. I don't know why at that age I realized that if people are not educated when it comes to the things of sex, there'll be a lot of children will be born, a lot of unborn children, you know. People would have uncontrolled sex and all that. So I thought at that time, I felt that our young people should be taught that you don't just have sex and unprotected sex. And we went around teaching people, and this topic was very sensitive because people did not want their children to know about sex education. But somehow we had a breakthrough with the audience and they accepted it. It was quite exciting, and we had a very good actor, Vusti Bakwan, who played that part of the leading actor, and it sold very well. And I think we changed a lot of young people's lives by educating to say, if you have unprotected sex, you'll end up having children which you did not plan for. And it worked. And from there it was Tembi, it was mother-in-law. Mother-in-law in particular, when I wrote mother-in-law, it was a very sad thing because when I got married, I saw the way my wife was treated by my mother, and that also helped me to say, how could, when a mother-in-law ill-treats her daughter-in-law, it makes this poor woman to say, gosh, I got married not to be treated this way. So it dealt with the treatment of mothers-in-law to their own daughters-in-law, and it was quite exciting and very educative. And a lot of women could relate to that. And at that time, you know, it was during apartheid. When you are a woman, you will not have a house when you are not married. So I also explained these things to say the political aspect of things, they don't allow our women to have their own houses because marriage was what would beg you to have a house. So they were forced to marry because they wanted to have security. And it worked with the lives of the people. And it also appealed a lot to people. And we also taught the whole of South Africa with it. We had good music written with it. And I just enjoyed the run of that show.
Did you know that there is a book called Township Theatre, which when I was studying dramatic arts at Rhodes University was a book that we had to review, read, reference as well. Did you know that you are mentioned in that book, Township Theatre, along with other artists such as Gibson Kente?
Yeah, I have a knowledge of that. It was during the time, there was this white man who came from Britain. He was a lecturer and he was interested in the township theatre. And I think when he came to South Africa, he assembled a lot of us. We came together and he wanted to know individually what we were doing and all that. I think that meant it also helped to put our ideas together and also to make us to be recognized for what we were doing that time. And I must say he did a lot of good work. And I know that he brought us together, both Dan Maredi, Boyki Moshlamme, and a lot of the playwrights of that time. So I'm aware of that guy who came up with the idea.
And how did you transition from the theater space and move into the music industry? I mean, more or less, how many years did you spend in theater, and why the transition, and how and when, all of that?
You know, I think it's because I was multi-talented. As much as I was in the theater too, I wrote my own music. And then whilst I was in the theater, I was interested in music. And I remember that between, I think when I completed, before I even wrote Unfaithful Woman, I had a band called the Seepers Music Group. And we were a group of 4 singers, and we started singing. We were a quartet and all that. So part of me was in the music. And then I also had a band called, it was a Shangan group that was singing. Also I wrote some songs in Shangan which we recorded. And those songs, we did very well. I remember one popular group stole some of our songs and recorded them without my permission. But well, you know, that time, if you either were in the knowledge, you'll never be paid royalties. Then that guys took our music and recorded them. And we did nothing. Even up to now, they recorded that music. So I had these dual peoples. This side I was a dramatist, and this side I had music. So eventually I became divided into drama and music. I wanted to save the two portfolios, and I don't know, maybe I succeeded in doing that, because eventually I started, because I was interested in the music field, I started doing what was this music talent competition, trying to discover musicians who were talented so that they can be recorded. And on the other side, I wanted to be a talent scout and record musicians. You know, there are times when you do not know where you are. You try this, it works out. If it works out, it works out. And this side, I'm in the theater. And meanwhile, I was doing that. I had to choose what I wanted to be. And I went on with the drama until, say, 1990, I think 1990. 91, 92. And when I was doing drama, I started getting interested in the music. I remember they invited me to manage. I was supposed to have managed Mahlatin. Mahlatin wanted me to manage him. And also Steve Kekani came to me and said, manage me. I managed Steve Kekani. And from Steve Kekani, he was a big success, because his music blossomed and he became famous in South Africa. I remember at one stage when he toured Lesotho, something like 7 people died in that concert because it was too full. And it was called Audio Ya Lesotho. From there we went overseas with Steve Kekana. He grew very big to that extent that he was very big. And from there, other musicians came to me, Puzi Kemisi, Mfazo Mnyama, this blind singer also, Lazarus Hakulia, you know, and I managed all these musicians. And eventually, they also came from my hands. So I went on with these musicians, but I taught with Steve Kekani, and to a certain extent, we came to a place where we separated, and when we separated, I managed Kuzu Kemis, I took him overseas, a lot of musicians. I would do so many shows.
So what work were you doing with artists such as Brenda Fassie, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, Messi Pakela? What were they doing at your house?
You know, the fact that I was dealing with artists like Steve Kekana, and that time Steve Kekana was big, Hashelim Mhlope, there was this other boy from Nagat, you know, he was also very big. When musicians know that you are dealing with them, they all flock to you. So I ended up with Brenda Fassie, who was coming from Cape Town. She wanted me to record her and manage her, and I ended up with other Messi Pakela coming the time of Amateki and all that, and other musicians. There were lots of musicians who came to my house, and my house was always flooded, and you just have to say, this one, can I help this one up to this far, and all that and all that. And that's how they came to me. And I helped them wherever I could, others advising them, others housing them, because they never had places to stay. So you had to house them, give them food and all that. But it was quite interesting because I took them like my own children. And that's why they ended up flooding my house.
Now, before you moved and started Drakensberg Promotions, you were also involved in taking South African artists, actors, shows, theatre shows, taking them overseas. I know of Sikhulu. Just tell us about that journey and how you got involved in being the stage manager for shows that were now traveling overseas.
Hey, this was very interesting. What happened is I found myself doing too many things. Sometimes you group this side and that side and that side. You don't know which one is working. At one stage there was, there was drama theater because they knew I was into theater. So there was this group that was overseas. First of all, there was a group from overseas. It was John Lidwaba. This group had been overseas and they were touring overseas, but they had the problems of misbehavior and management and all that. So I don't know how this other promoter from Holland got to know of my name. And they wanted somebody who could manage the group because it was already overseas. And somebody said to me, Sam, I think it's like they approached me on Monday. They said, what can you do if we say to you, you must go to overseas and manage a group of actors who are not well behaved there? And that time I was not waiting, I said, no, I can take the job. They said, we'll come back to you. It was Monday. And this guy, white man, comes back to me on Wednesday. He says, can you get your passport? Do you have a passport? I said, yes. They said, bring your passport. And they took my passport. From the passport, they said, we're getting you a visa. But don't forget, this time I'm having a problem of having to tell my wife that there's this offer that is coming. And they want me to go overseas because that is going to shock my wife. So I started saying to my wife, hey, there's this job they want to offer me. She says, you can't just go overseas just like that without making proper arrangement. I said, hey, it seems that job is going to go through. Thursday, they come to me. They say, Saturday, you are leaving. You are going to Holland. Your visa is back and all that. And I found myself having to land in Holland and managing a group of 30 artists. And they were quite troublesome. But I got there. I said, guys, I'm coming to work with you. I knew their background, that they were misbehaving and, proper township delinquents. And we started working together. We worked like a group of worshippers and they behaved very well and their show was a success. Success. They behaved, the show was success. They got show after show and they were demanded all over Europe. And that also built up my other career because when I did that, there was another call out to say Ipindomi was also having a problem in having management, somebody to run it overseas. And I got the job to go overseas and run Ipindomi. That was another success story. It was a group of 32 people. We toured the whole of Europe, Ireland, America. We went to lots of places. And that's how big the show was. And Sikhulu, the show, we started our own show, Sikhulu, The Journey. And I also contributed in writing some of the music of the show until I worked until in 1993. I was getting tired of touring working overseas. I wanted to come back. But when we were about to get our independence in South Africa, I don't know, my mind told me, it's high time that you go and start your own thing. And I was also getting tired of staying out of my children because, I never lived with my children. I was always on tour and they were always with their mother. I also wanted to come back home and live a family life. So 1993, when they said South Africa is going to get its independence, I said, I'm going back home to start my own business. And that's how I came back and said, I'm going to start my own business. And when the independence came, I think I was one of those people who started organizing the campaigns for the political parties. And I organized a successful campaign when people were going to vote. And the rest was history. I got interested, I got to be known about.
So, Mr. Mhangwani, you were telling us about how being away from your family and traveling overseas just became a norm. I actually had some conversations with your young daughter who said you probably were away for about 4 years and only came back once a month in a year to spend time at home. And I remember your young daughter was talking about how she had problems with you coming back because she was used to living her life, and suddenly you came back and you were trying to tell her how to live her life and she couldn't go to any more parties. So how did all this traveling for many, many years and living overseas impact your family life and your children? And how was the reintegration when you came back from overseas?
It worked, some of these things are planned by God, So when I went overseas, it must have been a plan of God. And he must have also brought in ideas as to how my wife was going to run the family. I must say, my wife ran the family very well because my children continued to behave as if I was there. I was not missing as much. They could do the extra little things which, she could not detect, but she had done a good work. She had brought them up in a way that two families are present. So I must still congratulate her for the job well done. May her soul rest in peace. So it went down very well, like it was a norm, because if God had said, one day you'll be away from your children, you become away from your children, and that you can't control, and that those were the plans of God. But I'm happy that I got that privilege to get the experience of running big productions overseas and came back and had an impact that helped me to start my own business. And it was congratulations for me and a blessing, which was part of my dream come true.
So now we then start Drakensberg promotion. It's 1994, the ANC is coming into power, or the ANC is preparing for the elections to come into power. You are starting Drakensberg promotions. You're starting shows to promote the new democracy. And you start Drakensberg promotions. Why did you start Drakensberg promotions? What were you hoping to achieve? And tell us, what is Tribute Concert?
Well, I had to start this. Don't forget when I ended up my career overseas, I said, let me go back home and start my own business. And one of the businesses I wanted to start, it was to see myself running my own music production company, entertainment production company, and that's why I teamed up with a man called Mr. Oqalile.tshetshe to start up Drakensberg Promotions. I had the idea to start Drakensberg Promotions, and the idea was that when I start Drakensberg Promotions, I was going to assemble all the musicians who had gone overseas and bring them together so that their music could be recognized locally. You know, artists like Yuma Sikela, Miriam Makeba, Kaifa Siminya, Leta Mbuli, Jonas Gwangwa, they were just coming back from exile. And so when we started the tribute concert, the idea was to honor them for the contribution they had made in making our music popular overseas and around here, because it was through them that we got our independence. So assembling them and putting them on one stage and making sure that people go and enjoy their music, that was one of my dream come true. So I got them together. Did you have money, Mr. Mhangwani? I didn't have money. I just went to one company and they gave me, I remember they gave me 50,000. And I started that show in 1957 with 50,000. And at one stage...
No, it couldn't be 1957. It must have been 1994 you started the show.
No, it was 1997.
1997.
1997. So I got that money. It was not enough. I remember it was stage. These guys called me together and said, Mr. Mhangwani, you want to put up a show with us. How much money have you got? I said, I've got the money that I have. I've got 50,000. I think it was 50,000 plus 7,000 that we got from somewhere. They said, but that money is not enough. I said, yeah, but you guys, you're going to allow me to do the show and pay you after. They said, but that's not a good idea, man. We want to be paid first. I said, no. But we have to start the business together so that it works out. The idea is that the concept must work. Shame they bought my story and they allowed me to do the show, and we did the show. The first show, we did it at Orlando Stadium, and it was a success. I remember we had 5,000 people. But at that time, it was a success. The money was not enough to pay them. And they said, no, as we leave, you'll pay us. So whatever we got the money, pay them, and at the end, we were able to pay them all. And from there, I continued with the show, and that was the beginning of the tribute concert. We honor them and recognize them for their contribution in the music industry overseas and locally. And the shows started then from Orlando Stadium. We took it to Mamelodi Stadium, and the reason why I took it to Mamelodi is because I was born in Pretoria, in Valmanstad, and Mamelodi is next to Valmanstad. And I wanted to take it where I was born so that I empower the people where I came from. And there's 1998, the show blossomed and it started booming, it went on, and the rest is history. And the show is still going on up to today, and we're going to have it this year, sometime this week at the Times Square, and it's going to be historical because Times Square is one of the best places in the entertainment area. So,
and how long has tribute concerts been running for?
It's been running, I think this is the 26th year. So we're running for the 26 years, although you can minus the 2 years of the COVID, because during that time we had to stop with every showpiece. But so far, it has been there for the 26 years. You can minus the 2 years, so 24 years running and 2 years COVID.
So Mr. Mhangwani, it seems like you have been in the artistic industry when you look back at the fact that you started during high school, when you were an actor, an unknown actor, and then you grew all the way until you are having tribute concert, which has been running for 26 years. One could say you are probably one of the icons in South African, the artistic scene, the arts and culture. What do you think the difference is in today's artistic world when you look at actors, musicians, promoters, when you look at what is happening now versus the many, many years of experience that you have had?
Well, the difference with the artists who came in earlier, those who are coming up, it's change of generation. And as a producer and a promoter, you have to keep up with the times. You have to know what is going on with the current music, know what was going on in the past. Then you mix the old and the current music. It makes a good sound. And that's what we are painting on. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to balance the two, because you can lose out and you feature a lot of the old artists, and the current generation of audience do not accept it. It's quite dicey, but you have to keep on experimenting, and that's how it's working out. We keep on experimenting and guessing and guessing and guessing, but sometimes we get it right. We can also get it wrong.
Do you believe that art plays a role in addressing social and cultural ills, challenges, progress in South Africa?
Arts plays a very big role. It creates jobs. It deals with the social cohesion, because it's through the arts that we are what we are today, and it's through the arts that we got our freedom. So we cannot forget that. And it is through the art that jobs will be created. I know sometimes the government does not want to spend a lot of time thinking that they must invest in the arts, but that's what they should do. Because once people they follow their culture, people cannot get lost. And this would create more jobs for the artists. And you can imagine how many talented artists are there who do not have jobs because the arts is not being taken care. If we were like the British people who say culture comes first, arts and culture is their number one thing, we would be a better country. But I think we will learn as time goes by that we should take care of our cultural aspect and the arts and culture.
And do you think South Africa is showing a trend towards evolving the arts in a positive way? What are you seeing in South Africa?
I think they are trying. I can tell you, with the new arts and culture minister, he's trying. Let's give him a chance and see what he can do and what he can improve. But we're heading there, because suddenly one man came in and realized that the arts and culture should be taken care of. Let's give him a chance and see what he will achieve.
So, Mr. Mhangwani, I believe you are the generation where being an actor, producer, promoter obviously started with you. I believe then your youngest daughter also wanted to become an actress. And then you also have your grandson, who's also in the artistic world, being an actor, producer, interested in directing and everything else. But you did not encourage your children to actually enter and study dramatic arts, but you are fully supporting your grandson. Can you tell us what your thinking was in terms of not encouraging your youngest daughter, but now supporting your grandson?
You know, when I grew up watching the arts, I saw a lot of artists suffering. Maybe it's because the way they behaved and the way they conducted themselves. And I saw a lot of artists who got involved in acting, and they were not making it. So I was quite jealous to say my children will become artists and it won't pay their bills. So I know my other daughter wanted to be in the arts. I told her, I said, no, this won't pay your bills. Do something else. And that's why I encourage her to do. If she wanted to do the arts, she must do it with something else, PR, marketing and all that, but should not concentrate on becoming an artist, because I felt she would not make it. I could have been wrong and all that, but so far I think I was correct. You know, she would have balanced, but she would not have survived. And times are changing, I also change, and my grandson wants to be in the arts and all that. I said, watch up A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I hope he will follow that, and let's hope he will make it. Because the arts can be a difficult field, and at the same time you can be very successful. You can live on the arts. So I hope he will succeed.
So what advice are you giving to your grandson and to other artists who still want to pursue this industry? Given all your years, what must they look out for?
I think when you want to get involved in the arts, it's know what it entails. It needs a lot of hard work. It needs a lot of patience. And sometimes you can have patience and still do not benefit from it, but it needs a lot of hard work, dedication, and loss of discipline, because if you are not disciplined, you can fall on the wayside. And I'm just worried that whatever he chooses to do, it must be a path that will make him succeed and survive, because the arts is a dog eats dog situation there, so you have to be strong.
So for Tribute Concert, you mentioned it's been around for 26 years. If there was any artist, alive or historical, that you would choose to collaborate with, who would it be?
It also depends on who you collaborate with. Maybe you want to say I should collaborate with and sing with him or work with him in the arts field. I think the artists I normally have fallen in love in collaboration with the arts work. It's Rakaifa Seminya. We have got along, we've spoken a lot of things which speaks of collaboration, of taking the arts forward and enhancing the arts fraternity. So far is the one I have earmarked to collaborate with.
So Mr. Mhangwani, I mean, obviously you are a human being. You mentioned that you also have a comedian living inside of you. What are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing? What absolutely lights up your heart when you do it?
In my wife got many hobbies. I like sports. I like music. I like the arts as a whole. I like gospel music. I don't know which music don't I like. I'm a fanatic of the arts. And that is what keeps me going. You can leave me in the house for the whole day. As long as I've got my music, my television, the arts, whatever is taking place on the television, I'll watch it. Sports, I watch any type of sports, although soccer is my best sport. But the arts and the music is my number one.
So Mr. Mhangwani, your youngest daughter said I must specifically ask you this question. Are you considering finding a new home soccer team, because your current team has constantly let you down for many years?
I'm still patient with my old team. I think in life there are ups and downs. People fall and they stand up and rise themselves and walk again. And I still think my team will find its footing. And I just pray that they do well in the coming season. It's never too late to mend.
And Mr. Mhangwani, finally but not the least, I believe you are a father to 6 daughters and 1 son. If they were to watch this piece, what would you want them to know?
I think if they were to watch this thing, that they should know that, first of all, I like all my children. Sometimes I find it very difficult to separate them. And sometimes they think I'm favoring others and I don't favor others. But in me, they are all 100% the same. I love them all equally. And what they can take from me is that they must have patience in their lives. And they must continue to love one another. And Normally, I'm teaching them to say they must forgive one another because all of them, they seem to have tempers that are not balancing to be, and I pray that God help them have the heart of forgiveness and working together, and their tempers must be lower, and God must bless them to be patient with one another, and I hope they continue praying, because the only way that will keep them grounded is when they pray and say, let's love one another and work together and have peace. They must have peace. People must be peaceful. They must not have grudges in their hearts. So that will take them a long way. But I hope they will achieve that as they grow older. And God bless them all.
And Mr. Mhangwani, when you finally leave this world, what is the legacy you want your children and South Africans to know you for? What is the thing you want to be remembered for?
I want people to remember me for wanting peace. If there's something I hate in life, it's when there is no peace, when people keep on screaming at each other, when people keep on fighting, when people cannot forgive each other if something, when people differ in opinion, they feel they must say, enough is enough, and I say, give each other space so that you can end up finding each other. That is the main thing that they need to do, because whether we fight, at the end we must resolve our issues. Look at the war in Russia, look at the war in Israel. People will die, and at the end they must have peace and say, we cannot keep on fighting. So what was the aim of fighting when at the end you'll end up talking? I think peace must prevail in our lives. If we don't have peace in our life, we'll continue having unnecessary wars and fights and differences and hating each other. And there's no need to hate each other. And I'm saying to people must learn to forgive each other and say bygones are bygones and never go back to it. And that's why people die of stress today, because they hate each other. Some also vow to say, I don't want to see you until I'm buried. But it's easy to overcome that. If you say sorry to one another, you'll carry on with life, and life will be peaceful. It's nice to have a peaceful life. I don't have a grudge with anyone. If somebody has offended me, I pray over it. Tomorrow when I wake up, it's over, and I move on with life. Peace be among them, and God will bless them if they do that. He says, how can I forgive you if you cannot forgive each other? So we must have a world where people can live peacefully and forgive each other.
Thank you, Mr. Mhangwani.
Thank you, Kuno.
Good work, team. That's a wrap. Yeah, man.
Can I get my life back now?
Yes, you can. Question. How do you feel having been part of this?
Having been part of this, how do I feel?
Being this.
Well, this is very emotional for me. I am my father's child. I have two parents, but I am my father's child. There's no ways you could ever deny I am his daughter. I have his personality. I have his sense of humor. In fact, him and I argue a lot because we're so similar. And I'm the daughter who also wanted to study acting and go into the dramatic fields. So the one story a lot of people don't know is when we were growing up, my father's show, he did mention that there was an age restriction. So on all the banners it used to say no children allowed, but I was the one child who was always in the shows because I had figured out a system of sneaking into the car before they left, and I knew they never checked the car. And I would pop up when they had driven about 30 or 45 minutes away from the house, and they couldn't turn back and take me back. So I actually got to watch and see and be a part of my father's shows since I was absolutely an absolute baby. And I remember the funniest thing is in one of the scenes in the show, the couple has a baby, and the couple were two light-skinned individuals, and the baby comes out and I am the baby. And it became the absolute comedy of the show. So being a part of this is truly emotional because of the connection I have with my father, and I'm truly honored to have been raised by such a great man of God.
Lovely. Thank you, Auntie Babes.